Actually, this is only mysterious urban legend featuring Laputa as far as I know. But there are other urban legends regarding the Aerial Empire. As I mentioned in the agenda earlier, I'd like to feature them today. Like I said earlier, Jonathan Swift's Gulliver's Travels from the 18th century features Lilliput, a country of dwarves, and Brobdingnag, where giants live, and the floating kingdom Laputa in the story. So, what was the inspiration for a kingdom floating in the air? Well, Jonathan Swift wasn't the type of person who wrote stories that were completely fictional. His stories were based on real-life models. So what did he use to write an aerial empire? Allow me to explain. Have you ever heard of Magonia? Magonia is an air kingdom, believed to have existed in France around the 9th century. It was well documented throughout France that there was land above the clouds, and people from there sailed down to the ground and brought back grains and fruits. You can find out more details on Wikipedia. Check out Magonia. The Archbishop of Lyon named Agobard, who was a noble Christian and therefore unlikely to lie, officially recorded that he caught 4 merchants getting off a boat from Magonia and sentenced them to death by stoning. People killed the merchants by throwing stones at them. Magonia isn't a myth only in France. Back in 956, in the county Clare in Ireland, an archbishop recorded that a flying sailboat had descended, and this was preserved as an official record. The sailboat came down from the sky and tried to dock in the church, but as it was anchoring, the chain got caught in the church's arch, so the ship couldn't escape. Then a man came down from the flying ship to remove the anchor. But the people in the county Clare saw everything. They got excited and tried to capture the man, but the archbishop told the citizens to let go of him. Then the man hurriedly returned to the sailing ship, cut the chain himself, and the boat sailed away to the sky. This was also official record. It sounds a little suspicious, but if it were dubious, there would be many other lies left by the archbishop. What I'm trying to say here is, what the archbishops wrote in the medieval records at the time were recognized as quite accurate. If this is just gossip or a lie, it would be natural for many other unbelievable stories to have been written by the archbishops. But there are no such stories. For some reason, such stories are left behind from medieval France and Britain. Flying sailboats were sighted in the county of Kent, England, from as early as 1211, and even in 1743, the 18th century in Wales. It seems that a flying sailboat in Wales descended quite low, and people could even see the keel at the bottom of the ship sticking out from between the clouds. These ships were said to have come from Magonia, a floating island in the sky. Legend has it Magonia is inhabited by the Tempestari, from which the word tempest originates. The Tempestari are weather-making magicians who cause lightning and storms. So the reason why the Laputa of Laputa Castle in the Sky is protected by storms and thunder is because Miyazaki knew about Magonia and Tempestari. He'd say, "Everyone, as you know, Laputa is based on Swift's Gulliver's Travels, which was written based on, yep, you've guessed it, Magonia." As if we all had any idea. Miyazaki tends to show off his intelligence without fear. But of course we have no idea what he's talking about. That's just how he is. So, what were the records of the Archbishop of Lyon and the bishops of Ireland and Wales about? If they were all hallucinations, why were there so many witnesses, and why did they bother making official records? Anyway, that's the reason why I believe Magonia was more than just a rumor. However, suddenly there were no more new eyewitness testimonies of Magonia from the 19th century and on. This is a record from 1655. A major battle between flying sailboats was recorded that year. An account of those who witnessed the fight between the flying sailboats was published in 1680. Perhaps this aerial empire Magonia really existed, but in the middle of the 17th century, a war broke out between them, and they may have been completely annihilated by such a war. From deep in the mountains, or the jungle, or from the bottom of the sea, where no boats could have passed, sometimes gold coins or ornaments made of metal have been found. These kinds of mysterious objects are frequently discovered. So far, no one knows the truth behind these mysteries, but perhaps the Magonia that terrified Europeans from the 9th to 12th centuries was later destroyed in an aerial war in the 17th century. And maybe these coins and ornaments are Magonia's cultural legacy. That's all for today's free broadcast. Thank you for listening to my rambling. Okay, now please submit the questionnaire for today's broadcast. Well, this was a strange story. I mean, whether it was a hallucination or UFO, there are only two answers. But there's also an inconsistency. I guess it's up to you whether you believe it or not. Okay, let's check out the questionnaire results. Oh, thank you. The premium will be even better. Thank you. Well, in the latter half of the premium broadcast, I'd like to discuss the biggest mystery of Laputa. Like I mentioned a little earlier, who exactly is Uncle Palm? It's a bit of a painful and sad story, though. Then let's stroll around the magnificent world of Laputa. I'll talk more in details using more images since there are many more cultural heritage of Laputa. So let's look at them.